everybody. This is your boy, the Saint Turn One Saint This, and I was just wanted to let all of you know that this is episode one of what is going to be probably one of the most interesting and unique ways about going about the wrestling game industry. Usually, you see people that use things like WWE 2K, or they would use something like Fire Pro Wrestling, or just various other ways of going about the wrestling business. But one of the things I wanted to do is I want to connect the world of simulating with the world of gaming and use two of the best games that was ever created and blend them in together to give it the most unique way of going about it. So, what I'm calling this is decline. And the reason that I'm calling it decline is what I'm going to do and what I've done. I went through Fire Pro Wrestling and I seen where several people use different claws to, which is pretty much your creative wrestlers. They had several different claws that went side by side with some of the famous but kind of out of the norm wrestlers today. And I gave it what would happen if a person were to have won a lottery. And that's where me, St. Des, come in. So basically, just got through winning the lottery. And I told myself, I want to take $500,000 and create my own wrestling organization, and then see how would that happen and what would come from that. So what you're getting ready to see is literally what a person would probably do if they were to win the lottery and actually start their own wrestling organization. So if you know anything about the game Total Extreme Wrestling, also known by the gamers as TEW, it is one of the most detailed wrestling games that you can ever get. And even though I'm not even an affiliate yet, I may try to become one here in the near future. But even though I'm not even an affiliate yet, one of the things I would tell anyone that loves a game, just playing the just normal out of the box or out of the download version of this game, you will get the most detailed version of wrestling that you've ever known. And soon to even come out, it's going to be the 2020 version. But right now, I'm playing on TEW 2016 version of this game. And when I said that it's detailed, I mean it goes through everything from the rosters to the creative to how each business tried to have wars with each other. I mean, the team there at GrayDogSoftware.com, they have put in just numerous times and just numerous things into this. And I may not be pronouncing his name correctly, but I remember his name is Adam Raylan. And he has been doing this for years upon years. And I stumbled across it one time just being a gamer. And it was one of the best things that I ever stumbled across because I've lost just numerous thousands of hours playing his games. And if you're any type of wrestling fan, you would too. So one thing is to make sure you go to GreatDogSoftware.com. Check out that game. So I'm going to be using that to go into this story. And then if you ever have used or played a game called Fire Pro Wrestling, it became such a just an underground following because it was such a great game that one of the last American versions of it until like maybe 2 years ago was on the PS2, and it was such a great game that people was keeping the PS2s just to continue to play this game. And the reason is how in depth and how detailed they allowed their game to be. And when they came out with the new version of it, just like I think it was 2 years ago, it's called Fire Pro Wrestling World. They was able to get a contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they used a lot of their top stars at that time to put in the game. And if you're a gaming fan, I'm telling you, get it on the PS4, get it on the PC, and I don't know if the Xbox has it, but if it's on the Xbox, get it on that gaming console. I'm telling you, it is worth the buy as well. And one of the things that's so unique about it is a lot of people play that version by allowing the computer to do everything, because you can't go about it with the normal smashing buttons, hitting just buttons and combinations like a normal, as I said, WWE 2K version or just some other gaming, other wrestling game that you did in the past. You have to actually go about wrestling a match like it is in real life, knowing when to actually throw clotheslines, knowing when you need to try to pick up a person, knowing when you should just throw punches and kicks, and knowing when it's the right time to pin. And as you get more in depth with that particular game, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, what I'm doing, as I said, I'm going to go into the basics, the introduction of this setup, and hopefully, what we'll do is in the weeks to follow, I'm going to continue to post various forms of this so that you can actually see what I'm talking about and just love this whole concept. So remember, this is called the climb, and this is trying to climb out of the ashes of winning the lottery to trying to compete with the machine. If you're a wrestling fan, pretty much a wrestling fan, you know what I'm saying. The machine, which is known as WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment. So here we go. So right now, what you're seeing is the actual game itself, and I'm going to show you. If you click on the @ sign, we're going to be on the actual web page. And sometimes on the website, you'll actually get to see, news and headlines that is telling you what have happened in numerous other companies and stuff. And it's things to kind of get you up to par on what's going on. What I've done is I use several people's information, because the game itself do not use any actual real people as far as like wrestlers that you know, but there's people that's modifiers. They will actually go out and they will create the content and create things, and they are some of the best in this. And I mean, they put in this numerous hours trying to get each wrestler as close as possible to their true life stats. And one of the things I'm going to do is in the following weeks as well, I'm going to make sure that I give credit to where credit's due, because I'm one of those people. If you do the work and you do put in the hard work and the time, someone should give you credit for what you do. So I refuse to be one of those people that is going to use someone's hard work and not give credit to them. So in the weeks to follow, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to give a list of people names of the ones that I'm getting their information from. But as I said, when you look at this, I've already went through won the lottery sometime last year. So now the organizations get ready to have its very first match this Saturday, and it's the very first week, which is Monday, the first week of January of 2020. So as I said, throughout the process, you'll see where you can actually see headlines, things that's happening, or things that have happened. So one of the things you'll see is like Masai Takaki Kata is fully fit. He was hurt and had been going through things like that. So you'll see just numerous things being shown to you that's happening within your game world. So right now we see all of this information here. Then you actually have, before I go into where we supposed to be at, we're gonna have like the various different companies that's in the game world. So right now, to show you where we at, when you filter through, one of the things that I want you to notice is you got these companies. So at various points in the game, you can either rise in popularity or drop in popularity, and you can actually go out of business. But that's where the just grind come in, and you have to make sure you continue to grind. So we have all of these companies here, from Absolute Intense Wrestling, All American Wrestling, All Star Wrestling that's located in England, Capital City, Championship Combat. I mean, there's various organizations. And then we have regional promotions. And this is pretty much where we're going to be located. So when we get ready to get in depth with this, I'm going to show you where we at as far as this is concerned. Then we got the actual wrestlers, and any wrestler that's in the game can be selected here and filtered out here. So one of the things that I did was I went into the game and I found all, at that time, unemployed wrestlers, gave them a gig, let them have a shot at wrestling again. So what you're going to see is a lot of wrestlers that either have been cut from a wrestling organization or they was on the verge of retiring, and I gave them a chance to be back in the business. So now you have the dojo, and with the dojos, what you actually have is the wrestling schools where you can go get trained at, and some of the things you see always, even to the fact of like the performance center that WWE have. So you got all of these places that actually is spitting out wrestlers so that they can soon be called up and brought into either the developmental territory or be actually brought into the actual wrestling organization itself. So then from there, we actually going to see what they have is what they call alliances. So if you're someone that's into wrestling history and understand the wrestling concept, then you know that the NWA is the most famous wrestling alliance that ever was, which had been resurrected and actually is doing real well right now. And I advise anyone, if you're a wrestling fan, to look at NWA Power, because it gave me that feel of that studio feel, and I love that. So I tell anyone to get involved with that. But one of the things you see is like the list of all the wrestling alliances that you can get into, and if we want to, as a company, we can set up an alliance and actually have those wrestlers on our cards. And depending on what type of alliance rules you can have alliance titles, you can have the criteria of what it means to actually join into the organization and how to get into this alliance. And some alliances will allow you in and you can make it where no one can join. Then what we'll have here is pretty much what we're shooting for. We're trying to get on some type of network. So right now you have things that's the broadcasters in this game. So anything from ESPN to YouTube itself, it's got some type of connection. So if you're able to get some type of TV deal, pay-per-view deal, have enough money to start your own subscription service, here's where you want to actually do that. So here's our regional battles. And as you can tell, we have all of the regional battles here, and it gives you the locations of where all of that is at in here as well. So one of the things you want to do is you always want to be the top of your regional battles and see who is vying for the spot that you currently is holding. So these are the things that you got to really be into, and it even goes back the countries and stuff. So now we won't go into that, but that gives you the options to kind of change out the game. So now I know what all of you is wondering. So you've talked for a long time So, who are we and what are you trying to do? The organization that we have and what I actually bought and created is called the Supreme Wrestling Federation. And it was founded in December 2019. I am the one, Edgar Moon, who actually is the owner and booker of it. And the location is in southeast of the United States. And the wrestling style is St. Turner Wrestling, and our prestige is like 40%. So if you go over here where you see the popularity, you see like 40% of our prestige is there, and everyone kind of heard of this person that's in the wrestling business, and they kind of know what we're doing, but they don't really give us too much credit. But the entire world have heard of this company, and they trying to keep their eyes out of what we got in store and what we're trying to accomplish. So let's do a tour of the company. So right now, as I said, that's still the same information. As you go throughout here, each part in the game itself will give you a place for the rosters, the teams, titles, storylines you have going, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. The size of the company, the product style, any type of relationships that's within the game, the schedule that your show runs, and if you have anybody in the top 100 in the game, and if you remember something like the PWI 500, this is almost like the same kind of concept, and that is for the Pro Wrestling Observer issue. So if you're in the PWI, you remember that you always want to be the number one wrestler in the world. And anyone that used to wrestle here and has left, you have your own section to have your own Hall of Fame if you want to, and business and any type of news article. So if something happened in the news, we even got a section for that. So right here is to tour this company. So when you tour, is who is the SuWF? It's the Supreme Wrestling Organization, and we're a regional sized company, have good cash flow, but we don't have a TV deal yet. So one of the things that we do have, we're not very prestigious. One reason is we ain't even had a show yet, but we ranked 6 out of 50, and we're the 10th richest company in the world. So right now, we got a pocket full of money, so we 6 out of 50 as far as our popularity because of me winning the lottery, and we the 10th richest. Now, what makes us, who's our stars? Who did we get? Well, the first thing you get is 28 active wrestlers. And the most popular ones, which is always going to have like the top 5. So the top 5 is St. Des, which is me, who's also the owner of the company, and the high flying Matt Idol. So a lot of you may remember him. He actually teamed with, I want to say, Kofi Kingston in WWE, and they was pretty great as far as doing high flying moves and stuff. You have Elijah Burke, that's the Pope right there. Then 41. Then we have ACH, who fell out of, the good graces of WWE. So I wound up picking him up. And then we have Halloween, and he is classified a true locker room leader. And if you know anything about TEW, you know that you want good locker room leaders, because a good locker room means you have less fights and less issues backstage. And so we want to always keep a good backstage environment. So that's pretty much that. So our entire roster is, we have ACH, we have Israel, we have B-Boy, we have Dan Moth, we have the Pope, as I said, and we'll use him as a color commentator more than a wrestler. We got Flash Flanagan. We're going to use him as a road agent, is Gami. George South Jr., Halloween, H.C. Lope, Jigsaw, Jimmy Rave, Jody Flesh, Joe Gunther. So if you remember Joe Gunther, He was a commentator in the original ECW, Joe Maximo. And I'm not going to lie, I will butcher a lot of the Japanese names, but I'm going to give it a go. It's Kengo Mashimo, Kenzo Suzaki, Kadama, Bismarck Jr., Matt Seidel, as I was saying, and his brother Mike. Got Mitch Ryder, got Monster Mac, got Ray Gonzalez, Bob Terry, St. Diz, the Black Nature Boy Scoot Andrews, Shane Ballard and his brother Shannon, and Tashi Takisawawa. Yeah. And we got the announcer Tony Dawson. So as I said, that's pretty much our roster at the moment. The teams is gonna be the Hit Squad, which is Dan Moff and Monster Mac and the Ballard Brothers, which is Shane and Shannon. So then the title that everyone is vying for is the Supreme Championship. And if you remember or have seen this title before, it's like the old original version of the title that Ric Flair had when he was in the actual NWA before it even became WCW. So now, don't have any current storylines. And then the size of us right now, this is where the part comes in. Our importance to the entire world, meaning in the game world, but I'm gonna always say it from here on out, just the world. Our importance, it means how important is what we do is affecting any other companies around us. And right now, we lower than our prestige. And one reason is we haven't been wrestling. And then our popularity is still at 40, but it will soon start to go down if we don't start holding shows. So one of the things we want to make sure we do is start hosting shows and start making sure that we have good shows, because bad shows make us drop in popularity, good shows make us rise. Common sense, pretty much. So without getting in more detail, if we can actually get up to cult size, it'd be great. But right now, we mainly only known within our area, which is the Southeast. And then you have all this other stuff. As I said, we won't get into that now. So now, the product. And without getting into a whole lot of detail, our key features, we really don't have key features. And we don't really have heavy features. But one of the things we always have as a basis of what our crowd likes is traditional, mainstream, modern, and realism features. So when I go into more detail about that, just remember we're not real heavy or very strict on these things. We pretty much are overall base type wrestling organization. We got pretty intense wrestling matches, and it's not as dangerous because one of the things that I did take off as far as danger was breaking someone's neck. So we don't have too many spinal matches that's going to break your neck, even though you're going to see different when we're going for wrestling. The TNA levels is low, and one reason is because we don't even have women in our organization right now. In the face and heel, we do have that. So now, we're going to go ahead and get the main part of this. So right now, this is the amount of money that we have as a company. We have $574,719. We still made $74,719 as profit in the month of December. And the reason is because of how popular our wrestlers are. And even though we didn't have a show, we was able to make money off of the fact that we had actual merchandise being sold. So one of the things we'll see is when we go into finance is that we was making money even though we didn't have a show because we had popular wrestlers. I will tell you that my character is Cheese. but he is not cheese in the actual pro wrestling world. And if you know anything about TEW, it doesn't matter how cheese that you have your main character, you still have to be able to have an overall quality of wrestlers that's cheese before it can affect your game. So even though I got a great wrestler, I still can't raise my overall popularity enough to make it where it's going to affect the total outcome in a way that's going to make it where this game is not fun. Trust me, if you know anything about TEW, you'll see where I'm going. So, as I said, that's where our title is. And then see where do I want to actually talk about. Well, one of the first things we're going to go ahead and talk about is the creative meeting. So, the way that I'm going to do this game and do everything as far as going forward, I want to make sure that we look at it in the eyes of behind the scenes for anyone who loves the behind the scenes of wrestling. I also want to make it sure that a person will get to see actual matches that go coincide with this. So when we get into true flow of this, what I'm going to have is I'm going to have what's going on behind the scenes in the show, as well as one or two of the major matches that went with that particular show or pay-per-view or event. So when we get to talking about the backstage, pretty much the backstage politics and the backstage setup, we're going to have to go into one of the things, which is the creative meeting. So this is the booking committee for anyone who's not really into wrestling. So just like if you look at a movie and you have a bunch of writers that's coming up with the story or how everything should be done and produced, this is how wrestling is set up. So you have the creative meeting, and right here is going to be what do our road agents and what do our people think is the main wrestlers that's going to attract the crowd and could carry the federation to the next height or to the next level. So when we go into here, we're going to see that right now I'm pretty much this insanely popular wrestler. It's like got exceptional star presence, exceptional charisma, so everybody just love everything I do. It's like I'm able to draw fans in, and I'm the number one wrestler on the card, so everybody just know I'm the stuff. So I can't lie, I cheese myself. Yeah. But then we have Matt Seidel, and he's got good presence and charisma, and he's the best babyface. So that's just to let you already know that I'm a heel. And if you don't know what heel and baby faces is, a baby face is the good guy, a heel is the bad guy. So usually a baby face is always cheesing and doing one kissing the babies and stuff, and the heels is the one that's pulling out cheap objects and pretty much putting their foot on the ropes if you know something about wrestling. Now we have ACH. He's the third best wrestler, which is the main event. He has good star presence and charisma. Halloween, he's in fourth, and Monster Max number 5. Next big thing, which you don't see, usually when you have someone in the next big thing block, what you are actually having is what happened with Brock Lesnar when he first got into the wrestling business. He used that as even his nickname. He was such this unreal specimen of a man that everyone was like, he's the next big thing. He has to be a star. And true enough, he wound up being a star because not only was he a good wrestler, but he was able to prove to everybody that he was good enough to be in the UFC, and the rest has been history. Then we'll go to hot prospects. So these are people that's on your roster. They is good wrestlers, and just like it says, they've been marked as stars of the future. So right now, Kamada is actually being classified, hey, if you keep behind him, he's either going to be a very good and strong part of your backbone in your wrestling organization, or he can wind up being the one that's gonna kind of move up to the main event level for the organization. Talk to talk. These are the people that's great on the mic. Even though you won't have this being an issue as far as the gameplay, this is going to be something that will kind of go hand in hand when we have to do the actual full card on TEW. So as I said, we're going to do a full card on TEW, but the actual visual games and matches that we see is going to be in Fire Pro Wrestling. So the way that we're going to go about that, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But we'll have a full card in TEW, but the actual matches that are seen will be done in Fire Pro Wrestling. So whenever you're on the microphone, you want to make sure you have someone who can talk. He's not sitting there stumbling or got stage fright. You want to have someone that's able to make you mad or hype you up and make you want to get behind them when it's all said and done. So then the showstoppers. These are the people who can wrestle. The best way to just put it. These are the ones that when they in the ring, they can tear a house up by just wrestling good quality matches. So right now you see, as I said, I'm Cheese, but it's me, Matt Sydal, Halloween, Jody Flesh, and Kenzo Suzuki. So when you look at these wrestlers, you know that they can, no matter where they are in the card, they're going to do something great when they're in the ring. Now, one of the things you're going to see that's different with the showstoppers is the ring general. Now, usually the ring general is a whole lot different. The ring general needs to be classified as a janitor. And the reason I say that is everyone thinks a janitor is raggedy and not important until the janitor's not doing their job. Then that's when the entire place stinks. And this is what a ring general do. They are the ones that you want in the ring with some of the people that either cannot wrestle or a young wrestler that you want to get better. They can carry a match and make a match interesting when otherwise that wrestler would just struggle to even get his two left feet out of the way. So again, you see that it's St. Dez, Matt Sydal, then Linsmar Jr., Jigsaw, and Halloween. So you want to make sure that you always got good quality ring generals. Sometimes you can put the belts on the ring generals, but sometimes you just want to make sure you have great ring generals that can make your other talent better. Then who's hot and who's not, I won't go into that now, but the reason you have those is if a person is really hot, you really could put them in a title picture. But if they're not hot and you put the title on them, then the fans would turn on them. So in TEW, it's always a bad thing to try to put the belt on somebody that's not hot. So that's where the way that Fire Pro Wrestling is going to coincide with what we're doing. If we wind up having Fire Pro Wrestling said that a person is the world champ and we have to put the belt on when that code, then we're going to have to just figure out a way to get around it. And that's what's going to make this such a great thing. Now, the time decline means that these people had better days and the skills is dropping. They soon to retire and they get ready to start transitioning from in-ring competition to trying to either just say I'm done with wrestling altogether or hey, let me be a road agent, which is pretty much someone that helps lay out the matches, kind of like in creative meetings, but actually on the road. So we see that some of our main people is in there, like Dan Moff, Flash Flanagan, Kenzo Suzuki, H.C. Lowe, and Scoot Andrews. And if we go to Hidden Gems, I won't go there, but Hidden Gems is telling us that there's other people in the wrestling world right now that I haven't got on the rest on in our federation, but if I were to get them, then they would be a great pickup for us. So that's that. So now let's see what do I want to kind of say before, and we just kind of tell you our schedule. It's like every Saturday we're gonna have an hour long show, which, as I said, it can be raised up bigger or lower. And if I'm thinking right, in TEW, the longest show that you can have is 4 hours, and the shortest amount that you can have is like 30 minutes, I think. But we're gonna do an hour show in the beginning, and let's see backstage. So the backstage is kind of like what I was saying. You want to make sure that your backstage is like right now. This is kind of bad, but you want to be 100% if you can get it there, and if not, you want it as high as possible. You don't want negatives at all in none of this, even though I do have some negative for my rules. Right now, we got two positive influence in the rock and roll leaders. So ACH and Halloween, right now Halloween is proving why he's going to be a future hot prospect for this. He's a locker room leader. He's a ring general. He can wrestle. I mean, he's someone that we need to hope that we can get to the top level soon, quick. Then you see relationships. You got good and bad that happens here. So if you actually later on in this, we may wind up having a married couple on here, and then if they were to divorce, that will give you a negative. Or some of the people that's on the locker on the roster right now, they may wind up fighting later. If they do, then you get a negative there, and it can cause problems backstage because they don't want to ever be around each other. So then you have to make the decision: do you want to let them go, or do you want them to continue to be backstage causing issues? So that's where TEW is so great. One of the things, as I said, my leadership skills is extremely helpful, but it gets pretty much balanced out because my rules is having a negative effect on morale. So now we don't have child companies, don't have nothing in development. Medical, I'm not. One thing to kind of tell you about medical real quick, it will tell you who's hurt. You can want to do surgery on them or not, and then you can run a drug test. And understand, you run a drug test, you may wind up with some people who failing the drug test, and they won't be able to wrestle on a card, or you have to make the decision to finally fire them. So you want to make sure you doing the drug test at the right time, and they do cost money. So just know what you're doing if you want to do a drug test. Okay, and so now I guess the other thing to show you before I kind of show you the whole setup before we shut this out for today, right here the finances. So what we did last month is at the end of the month we had what we have currently, which is the $574,719. That's how much we took in. The sponsors and merchandise, we got $93,699, and the merchandise was $25,000, and we got some money from miscellaneous stuff. The workers, they cost us, and I'll show you real quick with one worker what that is. But they cost us $13,000, $13,050, and then to market us was $5,000 some dollars. Merchandise cost us $7,000 to have to create, but we made $25,000. So you see how that helped us out to have a little more than around about, I guess you said around 17,000 we made. Production was like $2,522, even though I don't know what we did in production wise. Our tax that we had to pay out and our miscellaneous was a little over 18,000. So now, with that being said, I do want to show you this real quick before. So just say for instance, if you look at the contract of Jigsaw, and he's a pay-per appearance. So every time he appeared to wrestle, so when he wrestles, he's going to get paid $450 to appear on the show. I don't care if he just shows up as a as a commentator or if he wrestle or what. But his downside means he's going to get paid regardless of what. $350 to be able to say that he's almost like in a retainer fee if you look at him as a lawyer. So he's going to get $350 just to say, hey, I'm still a wrestler with you. So right now, he's under pretty much a little more than a 5-year contract with us. And we're going to use him for whatever we want to. He wrestles on any shows that we want him to. Right now, he don't have any creative control. He can't veto anybody coming in. He ain't got anyone trying to match wages. I compete and travel costs. I didn't cover any of his costs. And I can release him right now if I want to. But that's what that means whenever you see why we had to pay people even though we didn't have a show. So now, to kind of give you an idea of what's getting ready to happen. So now when you close out that and we go into Fire Pro Wrestling, we're going to get into the nice stuff. Now, here is going to be the actual league. The very first thing we're going to have in our first event, we're going to start working towards what I call the Wrestle Tournament. And that's us crowning our champion. So let me show you what our belt looks like. So it should allow me to go to the belt. So if we go to the belt, this is what it is. It's the Supreme title. So there's our belt right here. The Fire Pro Wrestling title. That's what everybody's trying to get to. And if you notice, heavyweight, single, normal match, but nobody's champion right now. So when we go back into here, we're going to go to league and continue. So right now, this is what we're working on. Everyone that we seen earlier was in certain brackets. So what you get ready to see now is the bracket A is the main event wrestlers. And our main event wrestlers is kind of like what you see on that one screen as far as creative. It could be a little different, it could be exactly right, but what you see right here is what I call the main event bracket. And that is ACH, Matt Seidel, St. Dez, Halloween, and Monster Mac. Now, the B bracket is what is classified as the upper mid-carder. That is the people that is, they are not like just any regular wrestler, but they not able to carry the company right now. They could in the future, but they literally stuck in limbo is if they gonna ever be great or they too good to be normal, but they not as good to say they gonna be the best wrestlers in the company at the moment. So this is what the upper mid carder is. We have Flash Flanagan, we got Dan Moff, Jigsaw, Mitch Ryder, and Kenzo Suzuki. So now, when you look at our C bracket, you see that it's more people in there. The mid-carders is like I was saying, they pretty much your regular wrestlers. So they the good, bad, and the ugly as far as right here. These people could be your ring generals. These people is gonna be like, hey, we trying to figure out who we are. Are we gonna wind up being good one day? They could be young wrestlers that trying to climb up the ladder, or they can be just your everyday wrestler that fills up the card. So this is what the C bracket is. It's our mid carders, and that's Mike Seidel. That's the brother of Matt. And then we got Ariel. We got Jimmy Ray. Got George South, which is George South Jr. Rob Terry, Lance Mark Jr., Scoot Andrews, and Kamada. So now, right here is a combination of our lower mid-carder, opener, and enhancement talent. And an enhancement talent, when you see it in TEW, opener, that is what The Rock used to call the jobbers. So really and truly, you don't want to see a whole lot of your lower mid carders on your card if you can help it. But they are used to make your other wrestlers either get better or to be in what they call a squash match. And those matches is kind of like right now in WWE, you have matches where Drew McIntyre and Sheamus are having handicap matches against wrestlers, and they just kicking both the guys' tail and ruin them in like 2 or 3 minutes. This is where those wrestlers are. They either your lower mid carder, they your opener, or your enhancement talent wrestlers. So right now, if you were to go into what TEW is saying, we're saying that HC Loke, Joe Maximo, Ballard, Shane Ballard, Shannon Ballard, Tahashi, Seshima, B-Boy, Ray Gonzalez, Kengo Mashimo, and then we got Jody Flesh. Now, one thing I do want you to understand, just because they're classified as jobbers don't mean that they are not good wrestlers. What happens a lot of times is they are ranked low because they're not well known in the area that you have them in on TEW. So I guess here's the best way to look at it. If you were to have Sheamus in WWE, he's going to be classified pretty much like, okay, he's either upper mid carder or mid carder in the United States. Well, he could go into New Japan Pro Wrestling and be classified as a low mid carder because he may not be well known in the world. So one thing you could say is, if a person is really well known somewhere, like in the United States, but then they go to England and no one knows who they are, then the federation is going to classify them as being bad, even though they are great wrestlers. So one of the things you may see right now is, okay, you got like the Ballard brothers, they great wrestlers, but because they are here in the States, they may not be classified. And like Jody Flesh, he's classified as a jobber here in, the Supreme Wrestling Federation. But if you were to go over in England, he's going to be looked at as a better wrestler because he was actually better known, well known there. So that's what we got going on, and this is the wrestle tournament. So what'll happen is, when we get ready to start this tournament, it's gonna be every point is worth 5. I want to make sure I tell you right quick. I want to say every point is worth 5 points. I mean, every win is worth 5 points, and any loss cost is like 0. So each bracket, you have to win out your bracket, and only 2 people out of every bracket advance to the main tournament. And from there, I'm understanding it correctly, you go into an actual single elimination tournament. So what we're going to see is, throughout the next couple of weeks, the next couple of shows, and the next couple of episodes that I'm going to post, you're going to see how these people is going to be pushed that way. So this is what I wanted to let all of you know. This is going to be decline. We're going to find out soon who is going to be the world, well, I said world, who's going to be the supreme champion in the Supreme Wrestling Federation. I've seen this. I hope that you stick with this and continue to follow this journey, and hopefully we'll have many more exciting games and exciting shows to just let you know what's going on with this. And I'm getting ready to sign off because I done talked enough. It's almost a whole entire hour right now. So y'all continue to do what you do, and I'll talk to you later.